Please stand. Call the meeting to order. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come together for this last meeting of the year, and my last meeting as mayor, let us give thanks for all the blessings you have bestowed upon each and every one of us during this past year. We pray for continued guidance, wisdom as we go forth with this meeting, as well as continued guidance and wisdom for those who will continue on next year. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Amen. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. If you have had a chance to look those over, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion made by Glenn.
Second.
Second by Jeff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We don't need a roll call with Steve up here, do we?
No, Steve's just absent. Or is he?
No.
Okay.
He's absent.
He's absent.
Likewise, for the approval of claims, if you had a chance to look those over, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Motion made by Tim.
Second.
Second by Jose. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? First item on the agenda is, I think we talked about this before, we were just kind of waiting until we get all the documents and the paperwork ready to go for the Dora refreshment area, outdoor refreshment area, and we finally, I think, got it today finished up. Is that right, Phil?
Yeah, I don't see the actual ordinance on there though, is there?
It should be somewhere.
There's exhibits, but maybe it's down the road.
Maybe some documents.
You said-
I mean, I can run down and copy this if you want to proceed with someone else.
Okay, we can do that.
The documents for it.
I thought they had it on.
Well, they did the exhibits, they just didn't look like they got the ordinance on it, so.
Because I think it's important to have the ordinance.
Okay, we'll go to April.
Okay.
All right, April. Actually, before that program event, you got the report. Basically, it's just kind of let you know what's been going on with the program event director, just like we normally do. So that's in your packet. All right, April, you're up.
Okay. Just for the transit department, I need to have approved our drug and alcohol amended changes. I think I talked to you guys about that about 6 months ago. They're gonna start doing oral testing, and so that had to be added and approved then. So that's one of the policies I need approved today. And then the other one is our financial policy, and Tom spent time with me on that because most of our finance, all our money goes through the treasurer's office. So he went through that with me, helped me out a lot. And so we've got that. That's something new that they want to update it in Black Cat, how we handle all the money. So
this basically is just standard operating procedure we have to have before we can.
correct. For us,
forward and to
yeah.
make sure we put it in our policy manual, right?
For us to stay in compliance with FTA, yeah, we have to have these updates.
Does anybody have any questions about it, or I mean, we've got to do them, so.
Need a motion.
Yeah, we do need a motion. We would separate, probably do separate.
Yeah, still separate.
Okay, let's do separate for the motion to amend the changes to the transit drug and alcohol policy.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Glenn,
I'll second it.
second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to accept the financial policy that's gonna go with the policy manual.
Make that motion.
Motion made by Glenn,
I'll second it.
second by Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You
That's
got
all I
it.
have.
You got it.
I need some signatures. Yours on both those and then Tom's. And
Okay.
do you want to just put them in my mailbox?
I will.
Thank you.
John, you might as well get started while we're waiting for Phil.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, April.
Council.
You gotta give John credit, he's been sick all day.
Try to make it through. Start with the gas department. We installed one new service. We got 3 applications on file. In the majority of the month, we've been working on it, relocating that gas main. I included several pictures. And you can see how big a project that entailed. I think we had ribbon cutting, was it Friday? For
Caroline?
Carolina. We finished it up Thursday, so pretty good timing there.
Yeah, I wanted to compliment you on that too, because I had all kinds of compliments from people that said that you got in there and got it done, and they really appreciated it.
Yep,
So,
the weather worked out good for us, so turned out real good. Then we finished setting our gas meter at the Steinkamp's new dry kiln. I think, Glenn, that's online now, right?
Yep, going today, right now.
It's working good, so
Yep.
that was a big project to get done. Anything else in gas, questions from the gas department? If not, moving on to the electric. Put 2 new services in. We finished a 3-phase pad mount for at Steinkamp's dry kiln, got it on service. Set a couple poles, cut down a couple trees for working with the street department. They were in bad shape. And then the guys did help take some inventory, straighten some stuff up, doing some light maintenance. And then I need to have a revision on the census electric meters from last meeting. After they got approval, I sent it in to the company. And they sent it back with a different price on number 4. If you guys can pull that up.
I'm getting there, putting out all the pictures.
Yeah.
They just have a price from, or is that a price increase?
It's a price increase, but it's a 12208 meter. It's actually a 3-phase meter used in a single-phase residential. So I included it into the single-phase class. It works as a single-phase, but it needs a 3-phase transformer to power it, so they kind of want to classify it as a 3-phase meter, but there's not that much difference, so they settled on the new price. So I included that in the revision.
So what, $5,032 difference?
Yeah. So I have to omit the one from last meeting and get approval for the new one.
Do we need a different approval or just amendment?
Well, you can, just approve this one, in place of the one that was approved last month.
I think we already approved it anyway for the reasons we.
But just approve the change in price.
Yes, we just need to approve the change in price, so I'll entertain a motion.
Really don't have a choice. We gotta-
Yeah, again, it's a single source supplier. It's the only supplier that is consistent with our system. You have a motion to approve.
And these-
Motion made by Tim to approve,
I'll second.
second by Glenn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you. Tim, we're down to lot. There's 2 items I'd like to get declared surplus. We have some poles down there, been down there, I think I got it there, 20, 25 feet, 30 feet. They've been down there over 20 years. They're getting, the weather is fading the paint. We no longer use them. We go with the spun aluminum in the new subdivisions. So I'd like to declare them surplus. And then a 1996 Chevrolet truck. It's pretty well shot. I did take Steve McFerrin down to look at it, and he was in agreement. That's not worth. It's all rusted out, a lot of miles. So I'd say it's 96, so I'd like to get them 2 items declared surplus. Kind of clean the lot up a little bit.
What do you do with the old telephone poles? Just sell them, or give them away, or cut them up?
We don't have any telephone poles. We just got electric poles.
Sorry, light poles. The poles that you're talking about.
The steel ones. Just get them surplus, and if we got any buyers out there, or somebody wants to buy them.
Sell for scraps, what that goes to, right?
Yeah. And like the pickup truck, I guess we advertise that so we can get any money out of it.
Maybe give it to the bombers for the giveaway next year, like they did last time.
Yeah.
There you go.
I go ahead and approve the, declaring those 2 items surplus.
So you made a motion to
Yes.
approve?
Yes.
Okay, Glenn made a motion to approve. Have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second it. Second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Any questions on the electric? Should conclude my report. Thank you.
Okay, let's go ahead and do Jerry. Jerry, go ahead.
Hello, Jerry.
Hey guys. Try to make it short and sweet. Distribution, we'll start there. We had 6 new services this month installed. 2 on 7th Street at a new set of duplexes that were built, and 4 at Hunter's Crossing in the section 4 of that subdivision. We had a issue at League Circle with some water. Their old service was a 2-inch ductile iron line. We all know ductile. We've talked about it. It starts to build mineral deposits and starts to choke up. We were having some issues there, so we went in and replaced that full service with a 2-inch poly service line. We've also still been continuing to work on lead and copper. Today was actually the first day that we haven't worked on that since we started, just due to the weather. We're using water to hydrovac those, and being that it was anywhere from 19 to 20 degrees this morning, we tried to stay away from it. So with that, the guys that normally work on lead and copper, they worked on our inventory this year, taking care of that. And then we had a water conference at French Lick put on by the AWWA for our continuing education hours that we have to uphold for our licenses for distribution and water treatment. Other than that, that's all for distribution. The filtration plant, we've had to do a little maintenance there. We had a chlorine pump that had to be rebuilt. We carry parts of those on hand and rebuild those in-house. And had a few leaking glue joint fittings on our chlorine lines. That sodium hypochlorite's a very corrosive material, so it's something that just happens. We've always got leaks that we have to fix. So other than that, we did a lot of the downspouts on the building. The little plastic couplers that take the square downspout going into the round tube have gotten brittle since 2003, and we went and replaced all those as well. Other than that, our metering system, we're still waiting on those large diameter meters. We're hopeful to see those in February like they promised. And we're still notifying customers of leaks as we get the alarms for those daily. And other than that, that's all I have.
Any questions for Jerry?
All right. Thank you.
Special night, huh? Okay, we'll go turn it back over to Phil for 2 things. First of all, we'll go back into the door situation.
Yeah, so as you recall, in last session of the General Assembly, Indiana legislature allowed cities and towns to approve and create what is known as designated outdoor refreshment areas, where alcoholic beverages can be served and carried around outdoors within a specific identified area. And they can be sold by permit holders that have been approved for this area. They have to, first of all, be willing to do that, and then they have to be approved by the city and by Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. So if you are approved, you can sell alcohol from your permitted premises, and your customers can carry it outside into this designated area and walk around the designated area with it. Also, individuals who have bought alcoholic beverage at one of those permitted locations are allowed to carry them into any other restaurant or permitted area that's participating. Now, you don't have to participate. You can, if you're a permitted vendor, you could decline to participate and post a sign that no one's allowed to bring alcohol into your premises. They can only buy it on their premises. So the idea is to enable cities and towns to have an open area where alcoholic beverages are permitted other than on the permitted premises where they're sold. So you have before you a proposed ordinance that would create such a district. I need to get to one of the exhibits here so I can explain.
While he's looking for the exhibit, if you remember correctly, there was several churches we had to get involved with this because it's within 200 feet of their establishment. And all 4 churches that were within that area that we've designated, that we talked about before, have signed off on it. I actually went to a Wednesday night service that I had to use a translator for, but we actually got all those signatures signed for that, so that's helped out as far as getting those
That's
done.
correct.
And I believe all the establishments that actually serve alcohol have joined or actually signed up to be part of this, so.
Yeah, and they're listed in the ordinance.
Right.
But the first thing to look at in the ordinance is the actual area that's being designated, and if you want to, you can, on your board pack, there is an exhibit. Exhibit A shows the actual DORA area. They're known as DORA, Designated Outdoor Recreation Beverage.
Outdoor refreshment
area, yeah, DORA. So you see on the north side, the area starts at the intersection of the alley north of 4th Street and Geiger, and it proceeds west along that alley. East along that alley all the way over to Jackson Street. Now, of course, that alley meanders a little bit, but it's shown there, the meanderings of that alley. And then it proceeds south along Jackson Street to the alley behind 4th Street, the east-west alley behind 4th Street. It then proceeds west in that alley, and then southerly to the alley behind the buildings on 4th Street, all the way over to Main Street, and then it proceeds, at Main Street it goes south to 3rd Street, it goes west on 3rd Street to Geiger Street, and then north again to that alley at Geiger and north of 4th Street. And inside that area, you see the areas that are designated by letters. Those are permitted vendors, permitted alcoholic beverage permit holders who have applied to participate in DORA. Gaslight, Mama T's, Old School Cafe, Fried and Chopped, Yard Goat, and the newest one that's not open yet, but they've applied, is Butcher and Barrel, the old Overtime. There's also designated in there what is known as a vendor area, which is all of Market Street Park. So temporary vendors and caterers who want to have events can apply to have a temporary event in that area and serve and sell alcoholic beverages. Again, it has to be approved by the Board of Public Works, their particular event, and they also have to file an application with the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission to have that temporary permit approved. So then a temporary vendor can sell at Market Street Park, and patrons can then carry that drink anywhere within the DORA area and into participating permitted areas. In order to carry a drink outside a permitted premises, it has to be in a disposable cup, non-glass, either plastic or paper or other non-glass container, and it has to have an emblem, the DORA emblem on it. So, because no one is allowed to carry into the DORA area an alcoholic beverage purchased somewhere else or served somewhere else, unless it's from a participating vendor. So that describes the area, and then the ordinance also describes by street addresses the boundaries. The ordinance determines that it does comply with our zoning code, and there's no prohibition in our zoning code for this establishment of this area. The ordinance also approves minimum signage that has to mark the boundaries, and I think that's Exhibit B. You can see the type of signage that you're being asked to approve. Now this is just minimum signage. They would be marked the extreme boundaries at the extreme boundaries, and also the side boundaries as well.
And it's also marked on the map too, as far as
Yeah, it's
where the
also
signs
marked on the map.
are.
But the Board of Public Works can also approve further signage if they determine it necessary. It might be a good idea to have signage, say, on trash receptacles, identifying the area that this is still part of the DORA. But these are the minimum signages that are required. And by the way, all these provisions that are in this ordinance are required by the state law that allows DORAs. Then we have, we're allowed to operate, we can choose dates of operation, but we've left it wide open. We've left it all hours that alcoholic beverages can be sold in Indiana. And I believe it's till Monday through Friday until, I think it's 3 a.m. on Sunday mornings. I think that's the time cutoff, 3 a.m. on Sunday morning until 8 a.m. or something on Sunday mornings. But otherwise, it's open all times. And then on section 9 of the ordinance, you see all the entities that are permitted premises currently that have applied to participate in the DORA. Again, Mama T's, Old School Cafe, Gaslight, Yard Goat Artisan Ales, Chopped and Fried, Fried and Chopped, and Butcher and Barrel, which of course is not open yet, but presumably will be open by spring.
But they do have a license.
They do have a permit, yes. Additional vendors who become permitted and want to participate can file an application with the council to be approved, so they can be added at a later time.
Would that just be amendment of the ordinance then?
No, it would just be a resolution you'd adopt approving them, and then they would have to file also another application with the Alcoholic Tobacco Commission to be approved. It's like a supplementary permit that the Alcoholic Tobacco Commission would issue them.
I believe, if I remember correctly, on that application, it has to be signed off by the council.
That's correct.
Before it's even submitted to the.
And this ordinance approves these, seven permits. So if you adopt this ordinance, you're approving their permits and authorizing the mayor to sign off on those applications.
So anyone else that would want to do that basically would have to come before the council and actually ask for that, to approve
That's
it
correct.
before they can sign the application and send it off. It has to be signed by the city to do that.
Then section 10 addresses temporary vendors that want to market alcoholic beverages temporarily, either just as a temporary vendor or as a caterer in Market Street Park, which is our designated vendor area. They have to apply to the city, to the Board of Public Works with a special event permit application, and also supply the form that the Alcoholic Tobacco Commission requires for the city to approve. That's then approved, and then they get their permit to do a temporary vending at Market Street Park. That would be for like a jazz wine festival, or it could be for a craft brewing company that just wants to have a day at Market Street Park and show off its product, or a bourbon, whiskey bourbon distiller. All those would be permitted, but they'd have to be a special event run through the Board of Public Works and Safety and approved with a.
That would be somebody other than the original permittees, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
But if the permittees wanted to sell at Market Street Park, they would have to get a special permit. They can only sell on their premises, and their customers are allowed to carry their beverages outside their premises and carry them anywhere in the designated area.
Would the parties at the old City Hall have to have permit if they have like a wedding or?
Yeah, they would have to, as they do now, they would have to have a caterer's permit for that. And that's currently how it operates now.
Phil, like when we do an event on a Friday night, you know, the events that happen through the summer and fall, are people allowed to bring a cooler with their own alcoholic
Well,
beverages?
that's the downside of this. The downside of this is that if you establish a DORA, only permitted vendors may serve alcohol that can be carried throughout the DORA. So even as it is now, I'm technically not allowed to walk downtown with a bottle of beer or an alcoholic beverage. But this ordinance would permit it. It's just that you would have to have purchased that either from one of the participating permittees or from a temporary vendor that's permitted in the Market Street Park.
Those vendors, temporary vendors, they're gonna have to use the same DORA cup as.
Yes, they will. Again, it helps excise officers enforce to make sure that only DORA-approved vendors are selling alcohol or serving alcohol in the DORA. Individuals who are permitted may expand their premises outside their building. So if they have a patio outside their building, they'd be permitted to serve outside their building as well.
So does that would include, like I know that there's a really nice patio behind Old School Cafe.
Yes, that would
There's-
include that. That would
I
permit
also regularly see people sitting on picnic tables in front of Yard Goat.
That would
That would
permit that.
expand their service area out to that location
That's
too.
correct.
And the same way, it would be the same for Mama T's also with their patio area in the back.
Right, okay.
So,
So again, businesses can choose not to participate, so if they don't want to participate in this and they want to, then their customers could buy, of course, alcoholic beverage on their premises, but they wouldn't be allowed to take their beverages outside the building. Nor would anybody who purchased at a approved vendor be able to take their beverage into a non-participating vendor's premises. And each participating vendor has to have a sign posted at its exit indicating that they are a participating vendor, and also though that alcoholic beverages may be taken out only into the door area, and that an open beverage container in an automobile may result in a Class C infraction. That's language that has to be on their signs. Essentially, that's it. What we do also require that those alcoholic beverage containers be plastic or not non-glass and be marked with a logo that we will provide. We'll provide the logo. The vendors will have to have them printed for their own cups. So they can either apply them to a cup or they have cups with the logo printed on them.
So will each of the restaurants or vendors have their own cups that they would have to purchase and print?
Yes.
Or does the city, like, will there be a bulk purchase?
Yeah, my understanding is that each permitted vendor would have to purchase their own cups, and they could either have the logo printed on them, or they could have applied logos that they can apply to the cup.
but they could probably all go together and buy from one vendor, basically, is what it comes down to. I know, for example, the logos that were put together here were put together branded by Woods, obviously. And obviously, if they could find someplace and they wanted to go together to do that, that's fine. But
Yeah.
the city's not going to provide the cups or the decals.
Some vendors may want to have their own name,
Right.
name as
Right.
advertising on the cup.
As long as
too.
it has the right information on it, that's all that's necessary. So.
Okay. And does this add any enforcement requirement to the city as far as, a violation? Or
Well, of course, city police are taking an oath to uphold and to enforce the state and local laws. So yeah, they would have to observe, as they do now, any violation of alcoholic beverage laws. We would probably also at least for a time, come under more strict scrutiny of the excise officer, the Alcohol and Tobacco Commission, to make sure we're in compliance and that we are in fact policing it, and that only permitted vendors are allowed to have their patrons carry their drinks outside their premises.
I assume the vendors or the merchants on 4th Street that are non-alcoholic can have signs posted not allowed at the door.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
there's a sign for that particular reason, yes.
We're not required to approve that sign, but the city has gone ahead and
Right.
designed some suggested signs for merchants that don't want to participate or
Is
don't
this
want
any-
alcohol carried into their premises.
is it any form of alcoholic beverage, like beer,
It is
wine?
beer, wine, or liquor,
spirits,
or, beer, wine, or any form of liquor.
Okay.
And there's a limit on how much. I think it's, I'm
16
sorry.
ounces, I think, or 8-ounce cups, or 16
yeah.
ounce cups and 8 ounces.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, there is a limit. I think it's up to 2 drinks at any one time.
You can only carry 2 at a time.
2 at a time, and no more than 4 ounces of liquor, I think, at any one time.
Are these houses supposed to be included in that?
Pardon?
Are these houses included in that door?
Well, it's just, there's not a breaking point there.
Oh, so you're
So,
talking
so yeah, the door does,
So it's just-
the door does exempt, or does exclude
They've got to
residential
have-
premises,
to
so
do
that,
They've got to have a license to.
so that,
carry it outside.
if you happen to
And it's
live in this
easier.
premises, you can still serve your guests alcohol, but you're not limited by the fact that you're in a Dora.
Would there be any benefit, like right at the top end of the map, the parking area that would be now behind, looks like behind the gas light? And then the new parking area, does it include that entire parking lot? Or should it, if it doesn't?
No, what we thought about that was the fact that were people gonna carry it out there, get in their cars and drive away?
Yeah.
That type of thing. So we try to keep it wherever we could keep alleywise, that type of situation, so it wouldn't have that happen.
Okay.
They wouldn't be tempted, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it.
You're right.
The sign will be posted before they get to their car that no more alcohol past this particular
Yeah.
location, so.
Okay.
I've been to other cities that have this policy, and particularly if you go to a sporting event, it's quite common. Obviously, it's well used in those facilities. And I know we've had merchants, I've had some of these people who have signed up for this, been asking for a long time, when we're gonna approve this.
Yes.
I get usually at least once or twice a week, I get a phone call. I said, we're working on it, so.
You know, there's been a lot of information that had to be compiled, a lot of documents that had to be compiled and created from scratch. So it's taken some time, and the mayor's had to get be able to contact the 4 churches that are within 200 feet of this district to make sure they're okay with it, because they do have to waive any objection to it.
Yeah, even
And
if
they
it-
were all fine with it, they were all okay with it. It was just a matter of being able to get in contact and actually find all of the representatives of those churches.
Even if it wasn't required, I'm really glad, Mayor Steve, that you did that. I think that would be
Well,
the respectful thing to do.
Even though, I mean, you know, there's a street between them, but still it's within 200 feet, so, you know, it's just better to do that. Fortunately, I was able to get the one individual that doesn't live here, and only comes here usually once or twice a week, but I called him at a minister's meeting, so, hey, by the way, sign this, you know.
So if we have a church that decides to open in a building that's empty, that's not.
They would have to sign off on it too.
Well, I believe if after it's established, they
Okay.
can no longer object.
Okay.
Okay.
These
so
are
they-
only existing churches have to consent
That's
or
my
waiving
question.
objection. But if a church chooses to locate in the Dora, it's presumed that they've waived their objection.
Okay. Want to clarify that.
And you can have up to 7 Doras in your city.
Yeah, you can, I mean, you can have, this is one Dora, you could actually have another one
Say at
6
the
or 8
park.
blocks away at the park or someplace
I was
else, but
gonna say,
right
should-
now, this is where it seemed to want.
Sounds to me like eventually we're gonna have to include the park.
It'd be a separate Dora. You
Be
could do
separate.
that.
You could, but right now, I mean, that's where all the merchants that are tying into this are here, you know, within a
Right.
2 or 3 block areas, so.
Right.
The only permittee at the park would be the city's alcohol permit, which is managed by the Du Bois baseball.
Is the fee is it an annual fee that each participant pays, or is it just a one-time initial application fee?
I don't know that there's any fee at all.
And then about the temporary vendors that might put their booth in Market Street Park, if it wasn't one of the ones that are already on the list, do they pay a fee to the
They
city?
do not pay a fee to the city. They have to fill out a special event application that goes before the Board of Public Works and Safety, together with the alcoholic beverage form. And if the board approves it, then the mayor approves that form, and then it's sent to Tobacco Commission, and they get their temporary permit to sell at Market Street Park.
Okay.
And there may be a fee by the ATC, I don't know, but the city's not charging a fee for any of these.
Gotcha.
Not for the door stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted to rent Mark Street Park, obviously,
Yeah.
there's still a rental fee for that,
Yeah.
obviously, so.
Is there any fee at all for a food vendor to set up a food truck in Market Street Park? Does the city charge a fee for that?
I don't think the park department does. Now, I mean, if it's a special event for that particular vendor, if it's not a event that the Parks Department is sponsoring, then they would have to rent, they pay the rental fee for the park.
Gotcha.
But, you know, either the Parks Department or Destination Huntingburg, which is a not-for-profit, and sometimes the merchants, they sponsor events at Market Street Park, and there's no charge for that. When they invite vendors in.
Yeah. Assuming we approve it tonight, when would it be effective?
It would be effective upon adoption, which.
But we still have to get approval from the state.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we'd have to send it up to the state.
Yeah, we have to send it to the state once that happens. So, and it could be, the last I heard, it was taking some time to get them approved, and then others I've heard, well, it was, once it got up there, it was pretty quick. But I've talked to several mayors that have done this, and it took them sometime 3 to 4 weeks to get back from them, and I've had them that say, oh, I sent up, got it back a couple of days, so
Yeah.
it's hard to say. But yeah, it has to go to them first before, even though you adopt it this evening, it still has to go to them for approval, so.
And then the signage would
Yes.
probably have to be up before we allowed them to start selling beverages under this, or within this DORA?
The signage would have to be up before they could do that, yes.
Is the signage a city cost, or is that to the businesses?
The city costs, the city will prepare the signage and post them in the places indicated on Exhibit A.
Any other discussion? Any questions? Anything? Do I entertain any?
2023-27.
We have to go through the whole rigmarole, right?
Yep.
So,
Introduce the number.
well, okay, I'll have a motion to introduce the number of ordinance 2023-27.
I'll make a motion to
Motion
introduce.
made by Tim,
I'll second it.
second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Since there's a 2/3 of majority here, you may, by unanimous consent, consider it on the same meeting it's introduced.
Make that motion to consider
Motion made by Glenn to consider adoption,
Let's second.
second by Jose, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adopt the ordinance,
Make a motion.
motion made by Glenn.
I'll second.
Second by Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried.
Ware.
Aye.
Bounce.
Aye.
Levon.
Aye.
McFerrin. Kissling.
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 absent.
4 ayes and 1.
And I'm sorry, Jose, I didn't have your name on here because I didn't know whether they were going to adopt it this year or next year, so I left it blank there, but I will pin your name.
And we do have a new council member that's gonna be taking place out in January, sitting out in the lobby here, so.
Hello, Pam.
Hi, Pam.
Wait, I'll just give you this. We'll have to attach all the exhibits.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just sorry, I get tired of
We can get it up to
it.
that.
And you have something else to bring up, right, Phil?
Yeah, the only other thing that I have is some time ago in July or August, the Code Enforcement Department had requested that I proceed with filing a lawsuit against a property owner that was violating the UDO sign regulations. Our sign regulations for residential districts, R1 districts, only allow 2 temporary signs not to exceed 16 square feet on each side, and this particular landowner had in excess of 12 signs of various sizes. So suit was, and their attempts were made to work with the landowner. Suit was eventually filed.
No, just past the top.
The landowners hired attorneys and countersued to have the ordinance declared unconstitutional. Today, I was working with the defendant's counsel. We reached a tentative settlement subject to your approval. They will remove all signs except for 2 that will comply with the city's ordinance. And they will dismiss with prejudice, which means they can't bring another action, their attempt to have the ordinance declared unconstitutional. In exchange for that, the city will waive the fines and court costs. The city doesn't pay court costs. We will not enforce court costs, and we will not enforce our signs. Under our UDO, we can technically I can only waive fines if the council approves that waiver. And so I'm bringing that settlement to your attention and asking you to authorize me to proceed with that settlement.
I'll authorize you to proceed with that settlement.
Motion made by Glenn to proceed,
I'll second that.
second by Jeff, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I might also comment that the property owner, we did agree to give the property owner until Monday, which is Christmas Day, at 5 p.m. To come into compliance because of the daylight hours and his work schedule and that type of thing. So I felt that was reasonable under the circumstances. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for working that out.
very good. Good job. Okay, anything else, Phil?
No.
Tom, anything?
No.
I assume Ray left because Patrick wasn't here? Correct. Is that correct? Anything from the audience that would like to say anything? Pam, anything? No, okay. Anything from the council to say anything?
Yes, I do.
Okay?
I would like to take this opportunity to express the gratitude and the work that Mayor Swinghammer has done, who stepped up 2.5 years ago to take over this job as mayor of City of Huntingburg. The city has had some major accomplishments under Mr. Swinghammer, and he's completed some of his, during his term, of much-needed repairs to the stadium, the Bomber Stadium. Because these repairs that Mr. Swinghammer has done to the stadium, Huntingburg's landmark will continue to be the proud home of the Southwest Raider baseball team and also the Du Bois County Bombers. But we also look forward to having served many other different opportunities coming for the future of the stadium now. The park has gained a much-needed youth baseball complex because of Mr. Swinghammer. This baseball and softball complex serves as a safety area and also getting families together where families with multiple children of different ages to go and play at one area. I think this is a major accomplishment, I think, in safety of the kids where they're staying around that area down there versus playing around the streets where they used to play at Maple Park. The Maple Park project was another one that moved forward under his term. The remaining building was removed, and now we can start on the next phase of that property. Another thing was mentioned, I like to mention, is the North Side Park was completed during his term. It was underway prior to him, but I'm glad it's completed now with the playground equipment that showed up and being used today. And another thing that I wanted to thank him on is also we added the need of the parking spaces in 4th Street. The 121 parking spaces were completed during Mr. Swinghammer's term, and that was a lot of work that he put into it, and we want to thank him also for all that, being a nice addition to the city of Huntingburg. I'm sure I probably missed some things, but those are the things I was off the top of my head today, and if anybody else has anything for that.
Do I have to pay you for that now?
So,
Yeah, I'd like to, I don't, really can't add to it, but I just want to comment that most of what gets done in the city is underground or not seen. Those are some of the visible things that you can point to and say that got accomplished, and people see it all the time, and those are fantastic improvements, but there's also a lot of things happening within the city on a daily basis that people don't see. And 3 years ago, I think it was, Phil, three and a half years ago, when Mayor Spinner took a different position within the state, the city needed someone to step up and take over that role, and I just want to personally thank Mayor Swinghammer for giving us those 3 years of your life to help the city navigate through that time and all the contributions that you made. And then additionally, tonight is the last meeting that Jose Dubon is serving as his role as a city council member. And just want to also say, Jose, it's been a pleasure to work with you, and we appreciate the 4 years that you've given to the city to serve in the role that you have. So thank you.
Absolutely. I'd just like to acknowledge and confirm exactly what they said. I think everybody's done a great job. Jose, appreciate you stepping up for your position, representing the 4th District, and Mayor, as we said, you've done an excellent job. I know you've gotten a lot of hard times off of it, probably lost a lot of sleep, but we certainly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I got something to say. I'm gonna read it, because otherwise I'll forget something I was gonna say. As this is my last council meeting, I would like to take a few minutes to thank you, the council members, first of all, for all that's been accomplished, not just within the past year, but during my 3 years as Huntingburg's mayor. Without working together as a team, many of those accomplishments would not have happened. League Stadium would not have been renovated, parking issues would not have been addressed, alley activation programs would not have been started, new fields for our youth would not have happened, our city lake dock and kayak launch would have only been nothing but a wishful thought, our new Latino Resource Center would have been only a dream. And without partnering with our citizens, merchants, and businesses, which is so important, we wouldn't have had music on our streets, new sidewalks, new infrastructure, new roads, new vehicles, or additions to our Market Street Park and Northside Park. I could go on with many other smaller accomplishments that have made our city an even greater place to call home. And as my term comes to an end, I'd like to say just a few other things. Over the last 3 years, I couldn't be prouder of all the things we worked together on, whether it be through the executive branch, the legislative, or the judicial, each with our own responsibilities. Sometimes those things kind of overlap, which maybe they shouldn't have at certain times, but it was all well-meaning, I'm sure, that it happened that way. But, obviously, we need to listen to our citizens. But when we do listen to our citizens, if there's complaints or there's situations or ideas or concerns, those do need to be brought up to the mayor, as opposed to the individual department's heads and things of this kind, so that the mayor knows what's going on to a certain extent. The mayor, whoever he or she is responsible for running the city according to the ordinances that are in place within the budgets approved. Many times that doesn't happen all the time. It's my wish that with the new mayor taking office January 1st, that he has your full support, as you've given me, as elected official to run the city and its day-to-day operations accordingly. That he has your backing for the many projects that are in the works, as well as those new projects he feels will help and support a better quality of life for all of our citizens and continue making our city a city like no other, where we welcome everyone and where everyone that comes to visit leaves thinking what a wonderful place Huntingburg would be to call home. So I want to thank you again for serving our city and for putting up with me for these last 3 years. Remember always that although politics plays a part in being elected, we should never be politicians, but rather public servants that put the entire city above personal and political goals. As I leave this council chamber for the last time as mayor, I want to say this has been an absolute honor and privilege to have served with each of you. And I can leave knowing that I've always put the city first, and we always try to put the city first in whatever decisions we made. And while serving, I try to do it to the best of my ability. I look forward to what you and the new mayor can accomplish by working together responsibly in the coming years. And I would now like to ask for one last motion, and that is to make a final motion to adjourn, and may God bless.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Glenn to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. Thank you, guys.
Nice job.